Good day, and thank you for visiting my channel, Coin Lady. While defending Bitcoin billionaires, John Dean accuses Senator Warren of lobbying on behalf of banks. Using statistics from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Dean stressed that fewer than 1% of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency transactions are utilized for illegal purposes. However, he demonstrated that conventional banks such as HSBC, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo launder between $800 billion and $2 trillion annually, with these institutions being identified as the principal culprits, rather than digital currencies. The majority of money laundering in the US occurs within the conventional banking system, so it's encouraging that he's drawing attention to it. Or, as is common, they pay a little fine and then proceed with the rest of their lives. However, Basel III will put an end to the major banks' impunity, which has persisted for far too long. In the aftermath of FTX's collapse, Caroline Ellison is now facing sentencing. I can only imagine that she must have given a lot to Sam Bankman-Fried, so I'm wondering what she'll get out of this, probably a smack on the wrist. But you are aware of what else she possesses in the room that could be utilized as a bargaining chip. She probably has a ton of dirt on someone. With FTX, Tether has several connections. Bitcoin poses a threat to American national security, according to CEO Justin Mora. You may see that as good news for Bitcoin if we can maintain our dominance in the market, but if we don't, they'll start to ignore cryptocurrencies like ours. Somewhere else they're going to end up. Furthermore, I believe this to be its culmination. All eyes are on us as we usher in a new monetary system. Michael Saylor is promoting up Bitcoin at the same time that they are suddenly throwing all these worries about it out there. There seems to be an issue. To be more specific, I am unsure of what it is. People requested an ETF for XRP, and the SEC warned that Bitcoin and Ether ETFs are risky, highly speculative investments. An exchange-traded fund, ETF, for XRP is unnecessary, as I previously stated. The value of XRP will remain unaffected. The Bitcoin maxis are among many who believe that exchange-traded funds do more harm than good for Bitcoin. Still, they hold the view that Bitcoin's current price would be much higher if not for exchange-traded funds, ETFs. Given that BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF might not have one-to-one support and Coinbase is playing their game, I can see why they might be correct. Records of transactions are kept off-chain and using hard currency. Coming straight from Coinbase, all that Bitcoin is actually counterfeit US dollars. So, they may borrow Bitcoin from Coinbase and short them without having to prove they hold them one-to-one. Payment terms range from 2 to 30 days. We only deal in cash when settling accounts. Since this is exactly what's going to happen, I believe BlackRock is manipulating the price of Bitcoin. I think many Bitcoin maxis would agree with me. That's why I'm claiming that BlackRock entered this market at the best moment. According to a former executive at Goldman Sachs, central banks are holding off on devaluing the dollar until they implement a new system that will centralize all of the world's currency. The system is being supported by something. Taking on more and more debt is clearly not an option. Their decision to hold off on demonetizing the dollar for as long as possible in order to hasten their transition to digital currency is understandable. Things are truly moving at a rapid pace, as I warned you before. Out of nowhere. Everyone can see it. Payments are undergoing a revolution right now, due to important industry and governmental initiatives. You should thus inquire as to the exact launch date of the new financial system. I would say that this is going to happen between the middle of 2025 and the end of 2026, because, as you can see, they cover topics like MiCA, digital ID frameworks, confirmation of pay, and new payment architecture, and they show that everything is supposed to be finished by 2026. During the extended transition phase, every country will go live with a CBDC, seemingly overnight. Cross-border payments will also be ramping up speed at that time with SWIFT and Ripple Net real-time payments. Simultaneously, we might expect an alt season, during which we may see the price of various cryptocurrencies driven by their utility. Now you can see the light at the end of the tunnel for these utility-driven cryptocurrencies like XRP and XLM, which is why I'm so insanely positive on them. Looking at the current situation, one would think that XRP will reach a three-digit value sometime in 2025. The financial crisis. Consumer defaults need allies' attention. Reuters, JP Morgan issues recession warning. Nothing is looking good for the banks at the moment, what with Goldman Sachs' heavy leverage in the yen carry trade and Nvidia. When banks become illiquid on October 1st, the Federal Reserve will not be able to rescue them, as Mike Crisco pointed out in light of what transpired with Basel III and today's meeting. Before allowing the dollar to hyperinflate, the Fed will allow the banks to fail. On this occasion, bailouts will not be provided. You can understand the FDIC's concerns about bail-ins now that you know the Fed isn't prepared to do anything other than print money to tide us over the election. The international community will no longer acknowledge the dollar as a means of exchange commerce if U.S. banks do not become Tier 3 compliant by October 1st. Basel III is also not slowing down, so it's going downhill anyway. I mentioned that I could understand why JP Morgan partnered with Noom. On-demand liquidity is going to be a need for all of those banks, because they aren't going to alter for Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan. In fact, I believe this is happening behind the scenes right now. Just as the SEC action was intended to do one thing, slow Ripple down till the perfect time, I think Ripple is probably already tying in with a number of US institutions. The moment seems to be right, in my opinion. It will take place throughout the following few months. I believe that once the elections are concluded and everything is finalized, we will encounter numerous significant challenges, as it appears like everything is being supported, but things can change rapidly in the banking sector. Even the Federal Reserve could see that the numbers they've been using to describe inflation and other phenomena are completely fictitious. It is no longer believed by anybody. At any of its 3 remaining meetings this year, the Federal Reserve is not likely to reduce rates by 50 basis points. Please state the economics number 54 out of 71. Consequently, many believe the Fed will not lower interest rates. Wow, that's terrible. Because a rate cut would be fantastic for crypto, we are pushing for one. The issue is that if we reduce interest rates, we run the risk of seeing higher inflation. So, you need to consider both options. The SEC's stance on SAB 121 has not changed, and we will continue to witness the meteoric rise of cryptocurrency. The SEC, now led by Biden-Harris, will use this illegal measure to keep banks out of the digital asset business. I have a theory regarding SAB 121 now. I believe the SEC is now working on this, because regulations are not yet in place. Therefore, until they pave the way, they do not want banks to deal with digital assets. Put another way, they aim to establish rules. After 99% of cryptocurrencies are eliminated, the remaining ones will be approved by SB 121 and made available to banks for use. If the SEC has been dragging its feet, it's only because they know the spotlight will be on ISO-compliant cryptocurrencies. There are just a few number of cryptocurrencies that comply with ISO standards, as the individuals on X, who are all retail investors, will tell you. Just so you know. For what reasons is compliance absolutely necessary? I would be content if my importance were insignificant. The impending collapse of the banking system and the involvement of banks in XRP and XLM, the transaction, will make this topic much more significant in the months to come. Globally, digital trading is booming. All of the trade capital is going to XDC. The new financial system will be held together by Q&T, therefore it is no surprise that they are also becoming intertwined. The viewer's presence here is greatly appreciated. When you're done, please subscribe to my channel and give it a like.